Hi everyone, thank you so much for stopping by my channel. My name is Glory, and if you're new here, I'm a recent graduate of UCL studying architecture at the Bartlett School of Architecture, and right now I am working in London at the moment, working my first job, so it's quite interesting, the adult transition life. So today I wanted to share some tips with you on how to save money being a student in London and also just a young worker in general, because we all know London is expensive and living costs are rising, everything is rising and it's crazy. So I really hope that someone shared these tips with me when I first came to London so I could save a lot more money. So I hope this will benefit you too. So let's go straight into the tips. Number 1, link your rail card to your Oyster. So this is one of the most important things for you to do if your age is between 16 to 25. If you purchase a rail card, which is really good, which rail card essentially is that you get discounts if you buy train tickets to go somewhere like around the UK and you get a discounted price. A rail card costs £90 for 3 years, so when you first see that, you're like, oh, that's so expensive, like £90. But actually, if you think about it, that's like £30 per year. And if you buy around like 2 to 3 journeys per year, you're already like making your money back, because say if like a ticket's around like 40 something pounds, you actually only cost you like 20 something pounds. So it's a pretty good deal. So I would recommend everyone to do it, unless you decide you're going to stay in London forever, which probably is not the case because you want to travel elsewhere. And also, you want to link your Oyster to your rail card. And this is where people don't know about this. I did not know about this until my sister told me. If you link it, you actually get further savings. So if you use your Oyster in any tube station, you get a discounted price. Basically, you just have to show up to any tube station and ask for a worker there to help you, because they have to log into the ticket machine system and actually register it for you manually. You can't do it yourself, so you have to do it at a station. And I think this saves you, like, you only pay 60% of the normal price of tube during like off-peak season or something. So if I take the tube normally, it would cost around like £250, but then if I use my rail card linked Oyster, it would only be around 160 or 165, which is almost like £1 less. So that's really good, because transport is really expensive in London. Number 2, use your discounted neighborhood cards. So if you live or work in a certain area, you can find out if there are discounted neighborhood cards in your area around you, which help you save money if you do some shopping around that area. For example, I work in Covent Garden, Seven Dials area, so I managed to get a Seven Dials neighborhood card, and also a I Love Covent Garden neighborhood discount card, which I think gives me 10% off like on selected stores if I wanted to eat out in the area or do some shopping, which is a pretty sweet deal. Number 3, uni days and student beans. So this is only student exclusive, so if you are a student, make sure you sign up for these platforms called uni days and student beans, because you can get discounts across like various stores, including online shopping. I remember they do it for like ASOS, Adidas, Holland & Barrett, and like tons more. And also a really good thing to do when you show up in any store in London and when you're paying at the cashier, just use your thick face skills and just ask them if there's a student discount. And I always ask like any store I go to if they have a student discount, even if it's like a grocery store or something. Not like the main ones, but say if it was like a nicer looking grocery store, just ask if they have a student discount. Sometimes they don't, and sometimes they do, and if they do, you'll be really grateful you asked, and then you can save some money. Number 4, supermarket cards and store cards in general. So this is kind of a no-brainer, because everyone does their grocery shopping, and the stores kind of shove it in your face that they're doing all these like reward cards and discounted cards and deals. Anyways, so for supermarket cards, I really recommend getting the Tesco Club card, which gets you deals at a cheaper price, and you can actually see them in stores. Like if you have the club card, it's way cheaper. The Nectar card for Sainsbury's to get points, even though I don't really shop at Sainsbury's, so I don't really use the Nectar card as much, but I hear that there's pretty good deals on there as well. You can get a Boots card if you're a student to get 10% off, or a Superdrug card, and many other stores that offer these, especially if you're a student. Number 5, Tate Collective. So London is the hub for like a lot of great museums, cultural experiences, and all that, and we gotta make the most out of it because we're living here. Therefore, I really recommend checking out the website of the place that you want to go to before you go there, and see if they offer any type of discounts for students or young persons. For example, the Tate, as in Tate Modern, they do this thing called Tate Collective for young people. So basically, if you're within their age range, you can enter like galleries for only £5, when the normal price would be around like £20. The FBI, I remember, it's a cinema that also does really cheap films for students if you sign up for some type of scheme. So you pay for only only like 3 to 5 pound movie tickets, which is really good. So the bottom line is really just like check the place's website every time you go there, especially if it's a museum or anywhere. Number 6, make coffee yourself. So I never really realized that coffee was such a big expense because I don't drink coffee myself, and the amount just kind of like adds up over time. I see my friend buying coffee from places that would probably cost like £3 a cup, and then it just adds up over time, right? So of course I'm no way in saying like stop drinking coffee, because I think everyone has their own thing that makes them happy, and I see that coffee for some people is kind of like a morning ritual that makes them really happy, so I fully respect that. As well, obviously just being able to stay awake from it. I mean, I see architecture tutors drinking like 2 to 3 cups a day, and that's kind of insane to me. So my personal suggestion for lowering the amount you spend on money is either buying a coffee machine, which is like expensive upfront, but then the price like kind of decreases over time because you make your own coffee for really cheap. Or buy from student cafes. So for example, like in UCL, I think you pay for around £1 a cup, which is like significantly less from like the chain stores outside. Or buying a subscription from somewhere like Pret, like my friend uses it, and you get like 5 cups of coffee per day, which means you can also like potentially share the subscription with someone, which is pretty nice. Number 7, transport. Walk more, bus more, tube less. I realized that transport is actually just a really big expense in London, and I kind of took for granted how cheap public transport is in Hong Kong. And it quickly just becomes super expensive if you're taking the tube every single day, or if you're crossing different zone areas, for example. So my way of dealing with this is just walking more in general, and London is a very walkable city. Every time you walk, you get to see stores and views around you, and it's really interesting to see all these things. You can also use the Boris bikes, which is everywhere, also known as Santander bikes, where you not only get your cardio in, but it's also cheap because I think the subscription is around like £2 a month. I'm not entirely sure, but definitely less than the tube, of course. The bus is also the cheapest mode of transport around London area, which is only £165 per trip. Doesn't matter how far you're going, it's always going to be £165. If you live further out, there's also an option to get like a monthly pass, I think, if you're taking the train or tube every day, and it caps out at a certain amount, so you don't pay more than that amount. But you need to check the website for different train providers. Obviously, I understand that not everyone lives in central London, so they don't have the luxury to like walk every day, so I acknowledge that, but check out the tips. Number 8, free walking tours. So if you're looking for something free to do on the weekends that doesn't break your bank account, I highly recommend doing some free walking tours, which happens every weekend and happens all around London every week. And you get to be a tourist in the city too, because sometimes we're just so busy being consumed in work and our school work that we don't really get to see and figure out the city. These free tours are kind of a charitable thing, and it's usually under a pay what you want service. So usually actually I end up paying like a small amount because I feel like the tour guys, took their time to learn the materials and show everyone around. They spent their effort on it, so I do want to like pay back a little bit, but it is definitely a good deal for students who wants to do a cheap activity or free activity. Number 9, birthday deals. So when you sign up for like restaurants or stores, like for their newsletters, sometimes they ask you for your birthday date, which means that usually on the day of your birthday you get like a pretty sweet deal that they give you, like a free meal or a free something. For example, I know Leon gives you like a free box, and Krispy Kreme gives you like a free donut or something like that, and probably other places do the same thing. Number 10, free library cards. So one of my favorite things to do during my free time is reading, because it's like having a free tutor and you learn so much information from a nice good book. And honestly, I'm thinking of doing some book reviews also on my channel, which is quite exciting. However, buying books obviously also add up over time, and sometimes when you buy a book you don't really read it after you finish it. So what I recommend doing is getting a free library card in London, which is available across different locations. For example, I got one for the British Library, which actually is more for research purposes, but still pretty good. There's one in Marylebone, and they also give you free access to this library app called Libby, where it's essentially a mobile version of the Kindle, and you can download books and audiobooks while you're using it. Number 11, food related tips. So here's just some like food, grocery related money saving tips that I think everyone should know too. In general, meal prepping is a really good way of saving money because eating out is really expensive and can quickly add up. So I usually bulk shop on the weekends and cook up my meals for the week, which saves me time and money, and I can hit my macros because I do go to the gym, and I guess I'm kind of a gym bro, but I love meal prepping. It's really good. You get to customize what you want, and it's great. Number 12, I don't have enough fingers. Too Good To Go. So this is one of the best apps ever. I love it so much. Too Good To Go is basically an app that tries to save food waste from restaurants and stores and bakeries, for example. When you download the app, you can find restaurants or stores near where you are, and even bakeries, and see if they're offering magic boxes, which is basically just boxes of leftover food. Not other people's leftovers, but food that they just didn't manage to sell. And it's perfectly new and good. And they contain an insane amount of food at a very, very discounted price. I remember my friend getting like a box from a bakery, and then they had like 2 sandwiches, like a baguette, and like lots of pastries, and I think he only paid like £5 to £6, which is so good in London. The only downside is that obviously you don't get to choose what's in the box, it's just what they have for that day, and you can only collect them, well, you can collect them during breakfast, lunch, or dinner time, depending on that specific store. I really love what they do, so definitely go check them out. Number 13, budget and track your expenses. The last thing I'd like to talk about is budgeting in general and tracking your expenses so you know how much you're spending over time. I previously made a video about how much I spent in a week living in London as a minimalist who just started working, and it's also pretty student friendly on the stuff that I spend money on because I just started working, and I spend around the same amount, I feel like, day-to-day basis. So if you're interested, please check out the video here. And those are all my money saving tips in London, and I hope that was helpful for you because I wish that I had these tips when I first moved to London, and there's just a lot of stuff you get to know as you start living here in the city. So I hope you enjoyed this video and you found them really helpful, and if you have any more tips, please do share them in the comments below because I think it will benefit everyone from learning these money saving tips. And thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye!